Okay, here we go. Welcome in, and happy Saturday. No, this is Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Self Care Sunday, by the way. Welcome in, everyone. This is Sandra James and Living It with Sandra James. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day and you're taking some time to practice some self care on today before we get back into the week with the grind. For those of you who are still doing 9 to 5s or running businesses or whatever it is that you're doing during the week and you don't have time to take a minute for yourself, I hope that you will spend some part of this day in self care. Before we get too far into it, I'm going to place a poll for you all. Also, it is such a wonderful, wonderful day to be here. I want to welcome in all of you who are passing by, those of you who are in the bushes, and those of you who will be on the replay. Welcome in. Welcome in, Nicole Ray, GLP1. Welcome in, Kendi K. It's good to see you again on this wonderful day. I am going to go ahead and place the poll before we get into it. If I can do this. Okay, there we go. So we got the poll here. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you can see the poll. And again, welcome. Okay, so you guys know I just was not going to let this conversation stay with myself. I learned so much about myself that I absolutely thought I knew, but as it turned out, I didn't know. Or maybe I did know, but maybe I dismissed it. I don't know. But I was not going to keep it to myself because I wanted to share this moment and share this conversation with you and absolutely get your feedback. And as always, I always believe that I'm never, ever alone. Kendi K right out the top saying I'm very guarded. Okay, Kendi K. The chat is covering up the poll. Okay, Kendi K, type in the chat for me and tell me what I'm supposed to do about this chat covering up the poll. And Nicole says is that better, Nicole, or what's happening? I have never done a poll on the live. I've always done them in the community post or in the post. So Nicole is guarded. Okay, so Kitty K says I'm on my TV. I see the poll on my TV, but not in the comments. Okay. Nicole, you're saying that you can't see the poll or the comment is covering it up. Maybe because I'm on my phone. Okay. Well, I'm going to just leave it here. And as long as you can see the chat and see what's going on in the chat, I'll just leave it up here. And then maybe somebody can tell me a troubleshooting if it's not actually your phone. So now let's just take a look at something. Yes, I'm just going to leave it. Thank you, Kendi K. Let's just take a look at something. Now, with being guarded, we already know that the common thing about being guarded is people keeping their distance, or they're not letting people get close to them, or ending a relationship or a friendship before it gets too serious, right? And not asking for help. Those are some of the most common things. So when we think about being guarded, and those are probably the first things that come to mind. In my case, I was having a conversation with somebody and we were just having, just a regular discussion, but questions started coming up. And so I say to the person, why are you being so guarded about this? And they said to me, girl, please, you're guarded all the time. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm an open book, right? So, and I've said that even, in my videos or in a live session that, I'm an open book. But I learned something about myself today, and that's not true. I'm from California. Where are you from? And welcome in. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button. It will help the algorithm and it will also help this live get out a little bit further. Kendy K says, I'm on my phone too, Nicole. 8, don't see the poll yet or in the chat at all. It's usually at the top of the chat. That's strange. I have a pinned comment there too. So let me go back and look. And it's okay, so now it's hidden and now it's showing. I can see it on the screen here. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just ask you guys and tell you what the poll says, and you can give me your response. You can give me your response in the comment. Welcome in, Coach Reen, with the best exercise sessions ever. Welcome in. Good to see you. Happy Self-Care Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. It's good to see you. So I'll just ask the question in the poll. Do you think you're guarded in any way? Kendy K and Nicole already have said, Coach, that that they are guarded. So they've already answered the question. But also, some of the poll questions are, our responses are, hey, Kyle, welcome in. Good to see you. Yes, I know I am. Like Kendy K says, she knows she is. Maybe I've never thought about it. No, I don't think so. And I'm not sure yet. So I guess for me, I thought that I wasn't, but I could see some things in some situations where I am. And well, one thing I knew for sure, let me just say this, one thing I knew for sure, I was guarded around the colostomy bag before I got it, but knew that I was getting it. And every time my best friend would talk about it, and she was actually talking about it before we even knew that it was a thing. And every time she would bring it up, I would be like, I don't want to talk about that, and I would always be making these horrible faces and saying, you know, because I just did not want to accept or think that I would have to have a colostomy bag in order to be done with the tumor that was in my rectum. So, I was like, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. So in that case, I was guarded. But after having this conversation, I realized that being guarded doesn't always look like shutting people out, right? So it's broader than that, it's bigger than that. It's not just about shutting people out, it manifests in our habits and the way that we move and the way that we behave and the way that we have conversations with people. And so when I started looking at that, I realized that I am guarded. One of the things that I'm guarded about, also besides the colostomy in the very beginning, I'm also guarded around having conversations about politics. I absolutely do not want to talk about politics. And when it comes up, or if somebody says a politician's name or something like that, I just throw my hand up and I'll be like, nah, we're not going to talk about, I don't want to talk about that. And one of the reasons why I'm guarded around politics is, first of all, I don't know a whole lot about politics. And yes, when I was in college, I did good with political science, but that was because I had to. But I'm not interested in politics and I don't want to talk about it. So I'm guarded in that way. I'm also guarded about money. So I'm learning that, girl, you are not just the open book. You are you are guarded just like a lot of other people. So Nicole says, I don't like talking about stuff I'm still processing or trying to come to terms with. Yes. And sometimes I don't know, maybe that's good, especially if you need to process it first. But sometimes being overly guarded, or I don't even want to call it having a wall, but sometimes it could be detrimental to relationships and friendships as well. So I'm thinking that perhaps there is a balance in between, and the acknowledgement, like for me today, the acknowledgement that I am guarded, you know, thinking all the time that I wasn't, oh yeah, I'm an open book. So I learned that. And welcome in, Layla. Good to see you. Happy Self-Care Sunday to you. Layla says, I'm guarded around talking about religion. Right. So, Layla, what would be some of the reasons why you're guarded in that way, or guarded in that area, and not wanting to talk about religion? After I got into this conversation and then I started thinking about how I am actually guarded, I just started writing a lot of things down, and I came up with a host of things that are into more into the habits and the way we behave than it is about just saying, oh yes, I'm guarded. But it shows up in a lot of different ways. Religion and politics are just a no go for me. Yes, and I don't want to deal with the controversy that comes along with that. I don't want to have a debate about politics. I don't want to have a debate about religion. And a lot of times I'm asked, well, are you a Christian? What kind of church do you go to? Are you a Baptist? Are you Kojic? And I simply respond with, I'm a believer. I don't want to get into denomination and, have these different debates about why this is this and why that is that. Whatever your preference is, I respect you as a person. I want to be respected as a person. And that's just a thing that I don't want to talk about. And the thing is, I never really thought how big being guarded is, and what it means. We just look at those first common things that we always think about when the term guarded comes up, and I'll repeat them for those of you who just came in. I was talking about keeping people at a distance, and not letting people get too close to you, or ending things before a friendship or a relationship before it gets too serious, and not asking for help. Those are, the most common things that come to mind when we think about being guarded. So I didn't even, consider those. But as I looked at myself after having this conversation and being told, girl, you are absolutely guarded. So that's when I started writing things down and taking a deeper look at it. A lot of people will change the subject, and start deflecting when certain things come up. People who have trauma, definitely are guarded around, situations. So, are staying, like on the surface. If you ever talk to a person, I have a friend that is still in addiction, and sometimes I might ask them when they're calling me and they want to talk about the addiction, and they still don't want to go to treatment, and they just want to talk it out. I'll ask them, well, what are your triggers, right? Kendi K said, I don't think keeping your guard up is a bad thing. I don't either, to a certain extent, but it all depends on what are we being guarded about, maybe, and how far we go with it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes, especially when you're coming into friendships and you're dating or something like that, um, sometimes we will have such a guard or such a wall up that we can't have the full benefit of the engagement, which could, hinder an excellent friendship or excellent relationship that could happen because maybe the wall is too high. So, but I think that there should be some guardedness. You just can't be all 100% transparent early on, but with some moderation and some balance, you know. So Kendi K said, I have, and I'm gonna move this thing. Um, I'm gonna move this out of the way. Um, there we go. Kendi K says, I have work associates and my friends of 30 years, 30 plus years. But in your 30 plus years with your friendships, you built those over time, but in the very beginning there was probably some guard, because when you come into any relationship, you don't just go and fall into the person's space or fall into their lap and say, oh, we're going to be friends forever. We have to engage. But if you I just feel like, and this is my personal opinion, if you have 100% wall up, how is it that you come to learn and grow and get to know that person, and what levels and what areas of conversation are just totally off guard, off the table in the beginning. So I just think, moderation and balance. I like I said, I thought I was an open book, but now I realize that I have guardrails up just like everybody else, and as we should. But I also believe, to a certain extent, we can't just, well, I can't just have a stone wall there and expect to have you know uh, a relationship or a friendship. I have a 40 plus year friendship with someone and that same person was talking about the colostomy bag, and she was telling me, she was like, girl, looks like you're probably gonna have to have a colostomy bag. And I was like, girl, no, 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 we're not talking about that, but I'm very transparent with her over time, and we've gone through a lot of things together. So um, there's nothing in my life that she doesn't know about or that she and I can talk about. Nicole says, I have two friends and my sister-in-law that I can talk about anything with, but still no religion or politics. And I'm with you on that because there's just things that I don't want to talk about with, just anyone. So of course I can talk about spiritual things and uh, where I am with my relationship with God in some spaces, but absolutely not just on, meeting someone and having that type of conversation. I'm not going to talk about politics, and I'm not going to talk about religion or spirituality in that way. I'm just not, because I don't, it always seems to, as I watch other people go through that and have conversations around that, it always seems to go into controversy. And controversy is even good sometimes, but it's not for me. I think it's okay to set boundaries. Yes, absolutely. Because I have my best friend who I share my hopes, fears, dreams, wins, and losses with as well. Yes. That's is boundaries, and there's balance, and there's moderation, you know. And as long as we keep them in their places, and keep them at the forefront of our thinking and our moving in life, then I think we'll be okay. But I absolutely asked that person. I was like, "Hey, why are you so guarded?" And they was like, "You are too." So I had to really take a look at that. And I'm so glad I did, because I need to have that awareness, and sometimes we could get so into ourselves and get into our lives, and we're doing this, we're helping people, we're engaging and having conversations. And sometimes the awareness can get low. And so we need to continue to have our awareness raised. I'm having to actively talk politics because I'm out here uh trying to, oh yeah, the Doritos, you said the status quo to save our democracy. I know what you meant. Disrupt. I understand that. Yes. So you have to talk politics, but if you good with it and you okay with it, that's great. Just like when you had to do that. Well, it wasn't so much that it was politics, but that there was something going on in the streets that was, like a profiling situation, and you did that. You got on live and you shared that with us, where this person had been pulled over by the police. I don't know if you remember that, but and you were talking about, freedom and rights and liberty, that day. So I never forgot that. Welcome in, Lala. Good to see you. Happy self-care Sunday to you. And we are talking about being guarded, and are we guarded? Do we know if we're guarded? Uh, what's going on with us? Welcome in, Grant. Happy Sunday to you. Happy self-care Sunday. It's good to see you. So, Grant, Lala, are you guarded? Hey, JC, welcome in. Doing some indoor chores, but listening. Hi to each person in the chat. Setting phone down now. Okay. Thank you for stopping by, JC. I appreciate you. So yes, are you guarded? What areas are you guarded in? What conversations are totally off the table? I'm not talking about this. Grant says, "Oh, I tend to be guarded on my personality." Okay. Okay, on your personality. If you want to expound a little bit more, because I'm a poke the bear. if you don't mind engaging me. Oh, I don't do politics. Lala says she don't do politics. Well, it's not just about politics or politics. It's about being guarded with yourself, period. I had named a couple things where people can be guarded, and sometimes we're guarded and we don't even realize that we are. Like, I didn't really realize that I was guarded outside of how I was when conversations would come up about the colostomy bag and such. But that I realized, oh yes, you're guarded around politics, you're guarded around a lot of other conversations in certain things. I only have conversations that I know the person across from me and want to have or can engage in. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, JC. Um, but you know, we sometimes meet people, or just say we on a cruise and we're sharing a space out on the by the pool, and somebody starts talking to you. Of course you don't know them, and so you know some conversations are just totally off limits, and people will ask you some questions that is like, how are you asking me that, and I don't know you from a can of paint, I'll say, you know. But even with our close friends, and even with our family members, sometimes we, you know, we have areas in our lives and things in our lives that we are guarded. And I just really wanted to have this conversation because I was like, oh wow, you're not such an open book like you think. So Lala says, I am guarded around high vibes. If you're talking low, you gotta go. I love it, Lala. It's rare a stranger is asking me something personal. Oh, well, oh, JC, I have been asked some personal questions. And I was like, are you asking me that? And I don't know you, you know. So I respond to people's energy, and I thank God. This is Kendi K. Thank God for his discernment as well. God has never failed me in that way, in that way. Amen. Yeah, because God will let you know too. He'll let you know if you have a relationship with him and you can hear him, he will let you know. As I've gotten older, though, I tend to start more conversations with people and then continue if they seem interested. Good way to witness too. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so I guess, you know, the bottom line is it all depends on what the situation is, you know. But I've been in situations and I've been in conversations with people that I know who are, they're asking me everything, but when I'm asking questions, they're, you know, the wall is up, you know, especially in that space with my person who is still in addiction, you know, and they're asking for help or asking for a conversation, or they want me to listen, or they want me to talk to them about something, being that, you know, I've been there. When I ask questions, they're like, oh, you know, either they'll deflect or they won't answer the question, and or they'll say, I don't want to talk about that. It is what it is. And so I just like, I throw my hands up because I'm like, well, you know, why do you need me here? I must have I that's funny. JC, I must have the don't try me face. I got into a 90-minute conversation at breakfast at the hotel, and it was wonderful. It's wonderful when you can have a good conversation with somebody and you don't even have to feel like you have to be guarded around that conversation. I don't ask people questions, Kendi K said, because I don't want folks asking me questions. Okay. So I never ask people questions that I don't want to answer myself. Okay, but now that's a good concept right there. You know, it's just like, don't ask for things that you're not willing to give too. Hey Kyle, welcome in again. Good to see you. How's everybody doing? Kyle said. Yes. So and that makes sense, you know, but you know, there are times when the guard can be too high. You know, the wall is too high too. And I want to, you know, keep that at the forefront of my mind as well when I'm meeting people, being with people that I already know, and engaging with people. You know, I want to have a balance, and I want to do my shares or answer questions, you know, in a moderate fashion, and you know, moderately, and I will let a person know where the guard is, you know, and what's off limit, what's off the table. And a lot of times I'll let people know that in the very beginning. Kyle is saying, I don't know if you got my comment. Okay, so he's talking to someone in the chat. So as always, you all, I really totally appreciate you guys having this conversation with me and sharing. Hey, Point Blank Experience, welcome in. Happy Sunday. Happy Self-Care Sunday to you. It's good to see you. I am about to land the plane shortly, but at the same time, Point Blank, I wanted to let you know that we were having a conversation about being guarded. So I'm going to ask you before I land the plane if you want to share what areas are you guarded in, and this is if you guys don't know Point Blank, I believe you do. He is the king of interviewing people. I watched him for the first time on a replay on a live where he interviewed someone, and it was absolutely a very engaging and good conversation. I enjoyed being on the replay, and that was a watch all the way through because it was so good. Welcome in 60 plus. Where's my Sophie? Good to see you. Happy Sunday to you. Good to see you. Yeah, so we were talking about being guarded, for those of you who just came in, and in what areas are you guarded, in what spaces are you guarded, and what's off the table, what's off limits, and did you even realize that you are actually guarded? So those are my questions, if you would be so kind as to let me know in the chat. Let me see. So I missed something here. And Kendi K calls 60 plus Q. Okay. Yes, we're talking about being guarded. And Kendi K asking Kyle, are you guarded, and or are you an open book? So yeah, and that's a good question to be asking, Kendi K. Thanks for the kind words, Sandra. Not the king. Well, you could be the king in my book. You could be the king in my book. I'm humbled by your kind words. You could be the king in my book. Okay. So Coach Mean says, I would say I'm guarded depending on the situation. Right. And I believe we all are. I'm just gonna be honest. I lost sight of myself sitting up there talking about, oh, I'm an open book, until the person I was talking to turned around and told me, girl, please, you are guarded too. Candy K say, I want to know your favorite color, Lala, so I can shower you with that color once you get monetized. Yes, yes. Yes. So come again with that question when it's my turn. And congratulations to you again, Lala, for being this close to the goal. And the good thing about that is we know that the goalposts won't be moving. So congratulations to you, and I am so happy for you. Coach says, I share some things that others wouldn't share, but then I'm guarded about some things. Yes, yes. And I share quite a bit because some things about me are already public knowledge by my choice. I wrote a book, and 10 years or so ago, and I shared some really personal things. And I did that because I wanted people to know, and I also wanted to let others know that they're not alone, and that I could identify with them. And so sometimes my shares will be for the sake of others, and it'll be things that I don't care if you know. And that's just me. Okay, so Point Blank Experience says he's an open book. Okay. So maybe sometime later on, just do some reflecting and see if you can find or see any area of life where perhaps you may be guarded. And Kitty K says, I think it depends on one's experience, past experiences, impact on your choices and going forward. Yeah, yeah. And 60 plus Q says, I'm guarded about lots of personal things and family. And I have a list here because I'm always writing stuff down. Being 64, I don't remember everything, so I write everything down. And family, around family is one of the things that I have on my list. People don't want to, especially if there are deep family issues or family hurt, family challenges, maybe there's a family member that's, you know, way over here, in some situation that, you don't want to be disclosing and talking about those things, or maybe someone hurt you, and there's just not a conversation or a share that you would want to have with someone, especially someone you don't know. And then, even with family, inside the family relationship, a lot of times some things are just not on the table, and in some family relationships, there's an elephant that just always stays in the room too, so it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's kind of weird when people overshare things, especially in a work setting. Now, yes, and there's some things that, I have questions about, because even at my age, where I feel like I'm never too old to learn, and I'm never too old to ask questions. And I don't think any question that I would ask is a dumb question or a stupid question. So I'm always uh, willing to learn and to ask questions, because there's some things that I just don't know, and so I will ask questions, and so I'm not guarded in that way when it comes to something that I need, and I don't fear being rejected. Some people don't ask questions, and that might be a little off topic, but some people don't ask questions because of fear of being rejected, or ask for help, because they don't want to feel that they need someone. That's another thing. A person can be guarded in that way as well. They don't want to feel like they have to need someone, even though they actually do, and they won't ask for help as well. Grant says, there are times sharing past experiences will help others. I feel if the situation warrants it. Yes. And with your discernment, you're gonna know when and when not, you know. I just connected with your channel. Okay, Lala is talking to Point Blank is talking to Lala. Is your name Point Blank? Is it Rob or Rod? I don't remember. I just know it's a R, and I know that I just had a great time in your space yesterday. So yeah, so it's a lot. This is a conversation that can go on and on and on, and because it's so broad and it's so big, but it's also so important. And so, like I said, there was no way that after I had that conversation that I was not going to come here and share it with you guys, because I know that you guys have a lot to say about this, right? Kitty K said, however, I had a coworker to share a domestic situation she was experiencing, which made me have to get help for her and us. I'm glad she told me and she trusted me to help her. Yes, yeah. So that's another situation where, you know, that needed to happen. And it wasn't a good thing for her to stay guarded around that situation. Okay, thank you, Rod. I like to say your name opposed to having to say your entire channel unless I'm introducing it for some reason. Wow, Kendi K, thank goodness she did. Yes, yes. So that was a situation where, she needed help and she had to disclose. And that reminded me of something, I needed someone to help me with the situation that I was in, that I totally had no way of helping myself, and my life was in the hands of the legal system. Lawyers, whether they was a paid lawyer or a dump truck or whatever, but the person that was going to help me was asking me these personal questions that I just was like, I don't know you. I'm not going to tell you that. But I had to tell them in order for them to help me. And because I did, I'm sitting here live with you all today. Had I not, I would be still behind the bars forever. So that was a time when I had to share with this man stuff about me that I didn't even write in the book. Okay, so that's how uh, guarded that I was even at that time. And now I'm thinking of all the times where in spaces and things where I am guarded. So Sandra always teaching us a life lesson. You think so, Kendi K? Well, I hope so. And while I'm teaching something, you know, I'm also learning. I always want to learn. I always want to grow. And trust me, any of you in this chat that I'm engaging with, if I don't know something and I believe you do, I'm going to ask you the question, and I'm not going to act like I'm so strong and I got it all together and, put a guard up where I need to be reaching out. I'm just saying, don't forget to like the live. Thank you, Coach Mean Ring, for that reminder. I appreciate that. Nice to meet you, Rod. So there's chat engagement, which I absolutely love. I need someone to help me shampoo my hair. Yeah. Well, just imagine shampooing this. I could absolutely use some help because my beautician, she don't do it. I have to come already washed, right? uh JC says, yep, the smartest thing I do is surround myself with knowledgeable people. Yes, yes. You can't just be in a space where everybody knows everything. And so in order to grow, in order to continue to learn, we have to surround ourselves with people that are more knowledgeable and have more wisdom than we do. That's how we learn and how we grow. I've been there, Kendi K, when I was a loose natural. I don't miss those days. Yeah, yeah, because I have to wash this stuff, and sometimes it would be nice to have some help. Also, during that time when I was going through the um, coming out of the hospital after being there for 3 weeks and not as mobile. I wasn't mobile, and parts of my body just wasn't functioning, and I just absolutely needed my hair washed, and so I had to have somebody help me. But for the most part, I don't have to have anybody help me now, but it is nice, right? It is nice to have someone do that for you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this has really, I really have enjoyed having this conversation with you guys, and I thank you again so much for engaging me and being so willing to engage with this conversations. And it's gonna come back up again because I want to continue to talk about it, because it is such, hey Desi, welcome in. It is such an important thing. And during my most of my long forms and things that I share on my channel are ostomy related, cancer related, colostomy bags and ileostomies and urostomies and all of those things. But when I do the lives, I like to have the what I call universal lives, so that we could talk about everyday life situations and have everyday conversations. And anyone that comes to this channel can be graced with just my presence and conversation about whatever we're talking about. And it doesn't always uh, be about, my condition or someone else's condition, and a lot of times they are. We have chronic illnesses, we have um, different things that we cope with and deal with uh, everyday life, and in the midst of our conditions and chronic illnesses and all of those things. So this having these conversations also helps the engagement for anyone and everyone that comes into my space and now into our space. So the lives will basically always be these types of conversations. I love to talk, and I could talk all day. And the more I get comfortable with the channel, the more talkative I will become, which is a good thing, I believe. I'm loving the vibe here. I'm looking forward to catching more live, Sandra. Thanks everyone for being so welcoming. You're welcome, and thank you so much for being here, Rod. Also, yeah, I'm gonna try to come every Sunday if I could catch one in between work. I have two jobs. I'm a part-time creator, but if I can catch a moment to do a live during the week, I will do it. But on my self-care Sunday, it's a good time to do a live. So hopefully I will be able to continue to come in on Sundays and engage you and have good conversations. And anything that you want to talk about, just message me or let me know. If you're catching the replay, put it in the chat and let me know, hey Sandra, let's talk about this. I would love to, as long as it's not politics and religion. We could talk about anything else, but politics and religion is off the table. But I do enjoy a good debate on some other things and on some other topics sometimes. That's how we roll. Candy K says we lead with kindness. Yes, we do. Yes. Thank you for sharing, Desi said. And yeah, Desi, it is so good to see you with your good cooking self. All right. If you don't know Desi, check out her channel. She be cooking up some stuff. Candy K likes to cook. Um, I just wish I would get off of my thing and start trying to do some cooking as well. My husband would be very happy with that. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so you guys, I am going to land the plane. It was good to be here. Good to see you. Hopefully, I will be here again on Sunday. And I want to keep this pace. And this is not the last that you will hear about guardedness and being guarded. I think that it's a good conversation for us to continue to have, along with all the other ones. And who knows what I'll come up with next. In the meantime, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a blessed Sunday.
Living it stronger every day, living it, finding my own way. I lost a midlife, I say it plain. Colorectal cancer didn't win the game. Living it confident and brave, living it with Sandra Jane.